Zubiri, Angara, Lord, President's Office for detailed CIF proposal. Great specificity. Pero kahit na natuwa ang maraming senador sa pagkadetalyado ng CIF proposal ni President Bongbong Marcos, ito namang si Koko Pimentel nagbanta na dadalhin daw yung CIF sa Supreme Court. Sa nauna pong balita, ayon dito sa Inquirer.net, Senators praised the Office of the President for its comprehensive and detailed report on confidential and intelligence funds. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri said OP submitted 2 books detailing each and every item of its CIF. The Senate leader made his observation on the second day of Senate plenary deliberations for the 2024 national budget. I just want to put on record that the CIF report of the OP is one of the most detailed and comprehensive reports that I have seen, he told his fellow senators. It is the most detailed among all the other agencies, sabi pa ni Zubiri. The lawmaker explained the disbursements presented by OP had complete accounts of where the previous funds were spent and under which operations. Senator Sani Angara, chairperson of Senate Committee on Finance and sponsor of OP's 2024 budget, backed Zubiri's statement. He said there was indeed great specificity in the report. OP's proposed 10.7 billion pesos budget hurdled the Senate plenary on Thursday. Tucked in this allocation is 2.2 billion confidential funds and 2.3 billion intelligence funds. Prior to approval of the budget, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Koko Pimentel III questioned the necessity of OP's intelligence funds. Pimentel pointed out intelligence expenses are only limited to intelligence information gathering activities of uniformed and military personnel and intelligence practitioners that have direct impact to national security. But in terms of confidential allocation, the minority leader said he has no problem in the concept of granting it to OP despite it being a civilian agency. It is the reasonableness na lang ang aking titingnan. So parang ang question dito ni Koko Pimentel na yung OP or yung Office of the President is a civilian agency na hindi yata dapat bigyan ng confidential funds or ng intelligence funds. So si Koko threatens to bring CIF to Supreme Court. Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Koko Pimentel III on Friday threatened to take legal action a day after the Senate approved President Marcos's request for 2.3 billion pesos in confidential and intelligence funds, which was lodged under the proposed allocation of 10.6 billion pesos for the Office of the President. The Chamber also granted a separate appropriation of 2.25 billion pesos for OP's confidential expenses. Pimentel argued that OP, being a civilian state agency, should not be given intelligence funds, pointing out that Mr. Marcos is actually just a consumer and user of intelligence reports generated by defense and law enforcement units. So yun na nga, dahil civilian state agency, hindi daw dapat mabigyan ng intelligence funds ang Office of the President. Pero teka muna, presidente yan eh. Ang daming mga agencies na nasa ilalim yan. Ang daming hawak ng ating presidente. Bakit hindi siya bibigyan ng intelligence funds? Ano, pipilayan niyo yung presidente? Bakit? Eh yan ang presidente. Si PBBM ang head of state. So kailangan niya ng confidential funds, kailangan niya ng intelligence funds. Dahil nasa ilalim ng presidente ang defense, ang law enforcement. So sabi ni Pimentel, providing OP with intelligence fund is conceptually wrong. It is misplaced. I am appealing to activist lawyers for us to help each other in developing a legal theory of the case. If they can help me draft the petition, then I will file the petition with the Supreme Court, sabi pa ni Koko Pimentel. According to Pimentel, it was legally infirm to set aside intelligence funds to a civilian agency like OP that is non-uniformed, unarmed, and whose mandate does not involve the practice of intelligence gathering. Nakakapagtaka naman ito, presidente yan eh. Bakit hindi siya legal na mabigyan ng intelligence funds? So mabuti nga ito, Mr. Koko Pimentel, dalhin mo na kagad sa Supreme Court para kahit kami na mga ordinaryong mamamayan ay maintindihan namin. Hindi ba dapat bigyan ng confidential funds or ng intelligence funds ang Office of the President at saka ang Office of the Vice President? So para naman po maintindihan ko kahit na konti, dahil sabi ko nga sa inyo, tulad nyo, ako po ay isang ordinaryong mamamayan, naghanap po ako ng additional information para din naman madagdagan yung aking kaalaman sa confidential funds at saka sa intel funds. At ito nga po nakita ko, confidential intel funds in the national budget, what you need to know. So nakasulat po dito, what are confidential and intelligence funds? A 2015 joint circular between the Commission on Audit, Department of Budget and Management, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, and the Department of National Defense laid down guidelines on confidential and intelligence funds. Confidential and intelligence funds are lump sum allocations set aside in the national budget for expenses that involve surveillance and intelligence information gathering activities. As its name suggests, confidential funds are for confidential expenses related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies that are intended to support their mandate or operations. So dito po sa pagkakaintindi ko, itong confidential funds are for confidential expenses related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies. Eh di ba ang Office of the President, saka yung OVP, mga civilian government agencies yan? Similarly, intelligence funds are for intelligence expenses related to information gathering activities of uniformed and military personnel and intelligence practitioners that have direct impact on national security. Eh hindi ba ang Presidente
Ang Commander-in-Chief?
Hindi ba nasa ilalim ng Presidente itong mga uniformed and military personnel and intelligence practitioners? So, bakit hindi siya bibigyan ng intelligence funds? What can confidential and intelligence funds be used for? According to the 2015 Joint Resolution, confidential funds can only be used for the following expenses. Pero ito lang pong una ang babasahin ko. Dahil sabi po dito, purchase of information necessary for the formulation and implementation of program, activities, and projects relevant to national security and peace and order. Sino ba ang may hawak ng national security sa peace and order natin? Hindi ba ang Office of the President? Hindi ba ito rin ang rason ni VP Sara para makakuha ng information necessary for the formulation, implementation of programs, activities, and projects relevant to national security and peace and order? Yung sa Presidente, natural, alam na natin yan. Sa Office of the Vice President naman, alam natin na ginamit yan ng ating Vice President para masugpo itong pagre-recruit ng mga maakaliwang grupo sa ating mga kabataan, sa ating mga mag-aaral. Intelligence funds naman, meanwhile, can only be used for the following expenses: intelligence and counterintelligence activities that have direct impact on national security. Yun na lang po ang babasahin ko. Then ito palang unang-una parang confidential funds din. Intelligence and counterintelligence activities that have direct impact on national security. Eh sino ba ang numero unong kalaban ng gobyerno natin? Hindi ba yung mga makakaliwang grupo? Wala bang direct impact sa national security itong mga grupong ito? Nagtatanong po ako, baka mali po itong pagkakaintindi ko dito sa binabasa ko. Please educate me. Tanong naman dito, who gets confidential and intelligence funds? Sabi po rito, national government agencies can get both confidential and intelligence funds while local governments and GOCCs can only get confidential funds. Saan po ba kasama ang OP saka OVP? Hindi po ba sila ay NGAs, National Government Agencies? Again, kung alam nyo po ito, please inform nyo naman ako. Dahil ito po ang pagkakaintindi ko dito sa confidential and intelligence funds. Sabi nga po dito, who gets confidential and intelligence funds? At ang sagot, national government agencies can get both confidential and intelligence funds. Wala naman pong sinisino dito. Hindi naman po sinabi dito na civilian or non-civilian or military or non-uniformed. Basta ang sinabi, NGA, National Government Agencies, can get both confidential and intelligence funds. Ito ngayon, how are confidential and intelligence funds audited? Due to the nature of these funds, auditing them could be quite difficult as the COA, ito po yung Commission on Audit, is left to trust whatever NGAs, local governments, and GOCCs submit for them to counter-check. But the 2015 Joint Circular provides that NGAs, local governments, and GOCCs should prepare a physical and financial plan supporting their request for confidential and or intelligence funds containing the estimated amount per project, activity, and program. So yun nga po ang sinabmit ng ating presidente. Kaya nga po tuwang-tuwa ang ating mga senador dahil detalyado daw, specific masyado ang pagkakadetalye ng Office of the President. So, kung tama po yung pagkakaintindi ko dito sa confidential and intelligence funds, bakit ko questionin ni Koko Pimentel sa Supreme Court itong sinasabing CIF ng ating presidente? Dahil tulad nga po ng binasa ko kanina, ang argumento ni Pimentel, bakit daw bibigyan yung Office of the President ng intelligence funds? Ang OP daw ay Civilian State Agency. Again, dun po sa binasa natin, kung sino ang pwedeng kumuha ng confidential funds at saka ng intelligence funds. Malinaw naman po siguro yung pagkakabasa ko dito. Who gets confidential and intelligence funds? Ang sagot po, national government agencies can get both confidential and intelligence funds. Hindi po sinisino kung ito ay civilian or military or uniformed or armed or kung ano man yun. Hindi po naka-specify kung anong klaseng government agency ang pwede maakuha ng confidential and intelligence funds. Basta ang sagot po, national government agencies. At sa abot po ng aking pagkakaintindi, ang OP at yung OVP ay kasama sa national government agencies. Again, please, educate me, correct me if I'm wrong. Kung gusto niyo pong mabasa yung buong article, hanapin niyo lang po sa Philstar Global, published October 5, 2022, Confidential Intel Funds in the National Budget, What You Need to Know. Kayo po, ano ang masasabi niyo dito? Comment lang po down below and I will see you next time. Peace.